Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Divine Platform. Welcome to the children of God, the enduring saints, the intercessors, the remnants, the vanguards, the chosen ones, the architects of the universe, the intelligentsia, and of course everyone else. This is yours truly, the Literati, and all I do here is for the edification of the Most High and for the restoration of His kingdom. And yes, I can do all these things through Christ, which strengthens me, like it says in Philippians 4:13. And it is my prayer that the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart are acceptable to you, God, my strength and Redeemer. Thank you so much for all my subscribers and those who reach out to me via email. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're not subscribed, kindly do so. Okay, so this particular presentation, this video, A New Dawn, Part 2, will make sense only if you have already watched the first presentation in this series, which I did a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. In that presentation, as you will see, there's a bunch of dates, not a bunch of dates, really, at times. And so this particular presentation today just builds on that. So you must watch that to kind of get this. And I hope all you who are watching will also confirm with me some of these dates and times that I come up with. And just summarily, in that first presentation, I talked about how God revealed to me or impressed upon me that March 7th is the actual beginning of the new year. And 3-7, when you translate that, you get L, which means the. Okay? And normally, L is used to refer to God. They say that means God. So this is the year of our Lord, or Anno Domini. So this builds on that. Okay, while I was doing research for this video, I had to question myself why I picked the image that I had picked, this one, this red moon, let me call it a moon. I didn't understand why I did that, but again, all I do is via instruction from God. So even the choice of colors, the images that I use, I have to rely on the guidance of the Holy Spirit. But then what happened is that as I was pondering that, I received an email from one of my regulars, and he sent me a link about the precession of the planets on March 24th and 25th. So I realized that 2 weeks before the total solar eclipse, during the overnight hours of March 24th to 25th, there was going to be a lunar eclipse, but nobody's talking about it. And if you watched my sun and moon, the sun and the moon, the power couple, that presentation as well on this channel, I say in that this dance between sun and moon is a courtship, and they must be wedded. They must be connected. And that is going to be the major sign as we head into the end of time. But nobody's talking about this lunar eclipse. Nobody talked about it. I mean, unless I had received that information, I would, honestly, I was not even aware. And you would think that I would know because I'm doing all this stuff. I was not even aware. But anyway, so the dance is happening, the dance is going, and a confluence of events must occur. And this is one of them. And I think that's why they're worried about what's going to happen during this the solar eclipse. But I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm just going to focus on the clarification of the new dawn. And maybe soon, within a few weeks, I should talk about the solar eclipse. So again, in this part 2, I will clarify and confirm and build on the information I received and relayed in part 1. There are different dates that are thought to be the beginning of the year. We know that January is not the actual beginning of the year. It's not the first month, although it is used and thought of as such. Okay, and this is the changing of times. This is the paganism. Okay, the word paga, actually that's my surname, has those letters. But that paga actually means to arrange. In Swahili, I think it's kupanga, but in my native language, okupanga ebintu, to arrange things, to rearrange and to arrange. So that's where you get that word paganism from. Anyway, another month thought to be the beginning of the year is April. But as I will show, April is the second month. Okay, so here I will show how March is the beginning of the month and how it ties into other events, thus providing us more of a clarification. So when I received this revelation about March 7th, one of the first confirmations is that the color that was revealed to me at that time is this pink, this pinkish color, a delicate pinkish color. And as I was further researching this, I was led by the Spirit to look at the moons. And then I realized that the April moon is a pink moon. And now in my revelation of March 7th, the revelation of the color came after the revelation of March 7th. So to me, it is an indication that the sequence of events in the revelation parallels the order of the month. So we have March 7th, and then the next event that's shown to me is pink, which is the pink moon for April. So to me, it is kind of a confirmation that March 7th is the beginning, and then the next month we have the pink moon. Am I making sense? So March, we have the full moon in March. This is the inception month, when the worm gets in. And there's an awesome video on YouTube that lists the biblical events, but I'm reluctant to recommend it because the author of this video also believes only in the Old Testament and trashes the New Testament. So I just don't think I can share. I'm going to spread that, but if you're interested, I can email you the link to that video. But it's a very thorough video on the dates and times. I'm just reluctant to share it because he trashes the New Testament, and I'm just not I believe in the New Testament, so I'm not comfortable just putting it out there for somebody who does not believe in the New Testament. Okay, so now let us look at the calendar. So on the screen here we have the Gregorian calendar, which is the commonly used calendar. And I will see the highlighted months of September through to December are illogical in order because their prefix clearly tells us what number those months should be. Okay, so September is 7th, October is 8th, Nov for November is 9th, and Dec for December is 10th. Okay, so this prefix for these 4 months is the ordinal indicator of the actual order. So already this calendar is wrong. The Gregorian calendar has been rearranged, but also again it tells us that September is the 7th month, because 7th Sept. So I think what they did was literally cut and paste the calendar, because when we assign those prefixed months their correct position, it forces the month of March to the top of the year. And so to me, this is a second confirmation. The first confirmation was the pink moon that occurs in April. But when we rearrange this, I am a rearranger. I'm restoring the kingdom of God in that sense. And when I say the name, people get crazy on this internet. So, but anyway, when we do that, September, October, November, December, so 7, 8, 9, 10, correct order, it forces January to be the 11th month and February to be the 12th month, and then March is then the first month of the year. And that actual date is the 7th when the year starts in March. So we'll go through this quickly. The months of the year, and we must accept the fact that even though they have sought to change times and laws, they do so from fact. What they're doing is mocking, mimicry, rearranging. So they take what is already present and try to alliterate it, corrupt it, or adulterate it. So if we are diligent enough in our search, we will find the truth therein. The truth, their lies come. Okay, how do I say this? When they're lying, they have a truth. They're distorting a truth. They just cannot come up with anything on their own. We must realize this. It's based in some truth. And that is why I say all is truth. There can only be truth. Everything else is a distraction. Okay? So their lies is the distraction. It's the aim of these demonic entities and their father Satan to distract us from truth, which is our inherent inheritance. So let's look at, so January, okay, is the month of Janus, the Roman god of beginnings and endings. And he is also, Janus was usually depicted with faces looking backward and forward, as is characteristic of a new year. He is also known as the god of doors. Okay, February is the month of cleansing. It's derived from February, the name of a Roman purification festival held on the 15th of this month. So this January, this is doors. The doors, the 1-1 is the doors they're talking about. And then you have to purify yourself in February, getting ready for the new year. So you have to read what they write with a discerning eye, so that you're not further confused. Okay, hope I'm making sense. Okay. So March in ancient Rome, several festivals of Mars took place in March because that was the earliest month of the year when the weather was mild enough to start a war. So it was the earliest month of the year. Okay. And then at one time, March was the first month in the Roman calendar. So the Romans changed the order of months several times between the founding of Rome and the fall of the Roman Empire. So this is the third confirmation. It is a historical confirmation that March was the beginning of the year, and indeed in the northern hemisphere, spring begins in March. So they still retain some of those truths. Okay, April is from the Latin aprilis, which is a derivative of the Latin base apero, meaning second. April was named as such because of the tweaking of the ancient Roman calendar where April was the second month. April takes its name from the Latin word aperire, meaning to open, just like flowers do open in spring. And in Spanish, abrir, A-B-R-I-R, the B and the P are interchangeable. So in Spanish, abrir literally means to open. So April with the pink moon opens and formally welcomes in the year, which actually started on March 7th. So the journey of the year begins on March 7th and April welcomes it in with a bouquet of flowers. Okay. And I am kind of really simplifying this for the sake of time. But I'm sure and I hope it's making sense. And in Luya, even this word, a variation of it, vorere, means they have arrived. So it's vachakre, match, chaka, vachakre. They started and now they've arrived. Vachakre, vorere. Okay, June descends from Juno, wife of Jupiter, Jupiter king of gods. July was named in honor of, okay, blah, blah, blah. August, okay, is the 6th month. In 8 BC, the month Sextilis, 6th, was renamed after Augustus. Okay, I hope by now you have watched Jupiter 2024, my predictions. Because that ties into this with the Jupiter, June, Juno. Okay, everything ties in. Truth is consistency. So pay attention to June and Jupiter, and I will tie it all together again in a few minutes. Okay, but again, we see here they renamed it. That means they changed it. Okay, Jupiter is critical, Jupiter is important, and Jupiter and June, Ju. Okay, that is very critical. Again, if you've watched that, my 2024 predictions based on Jupiter, then you need to know the critical times that are coming up and what month that will be. Okay, September comes from the Latin 7, like we saw, so it should be the 7th month of the year. Okay, so the names of October, November, and December suggest they would be the 8th, 9th, and 10th months. And they once were when the Roman calendar started the year in March at harvest time. But all that changed in 46 BC when January became the first month of the new Julian calendar, making September through December the 9th and 12th months of the year. According to the original Roman Republican calendar, September was the 7th month of the year rather than the 9th. The Roman calendar was only 10 months long and included the following months: Martius, Aprilis, Maius, Junius, Quintilis, Sextilis, September, October, November, and December. The last 6 months were assigned names according to their ordinal numbers. Quintilis is the 5th month, Sextilis is the 6th month, and so on. September, as you can see, was the 7th month, and I am a September baby. And that is the first month that is named after its order. So I'm also a very highly ordered person. I tend to be very organized, and you can even tell with my presentations. And sometimes it just takes me too long to do them because I want to have it in the correct order. And that is why I am here to restore the kingdom of God. It's a very highly ordered kingdom, and you must see things in order. Daniel 7:25 says, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of time." So this changing of dates and times is an ongoing cyclic occurrence with these people. with the goal of disinheriting God's children from the promise. Awana Vamalak, or children of the promise. Not only did they do this in the first time, but they keep on doing it. And this is incredibly disorienting to the children of God. Okay? So an example of changing time is simply assigning a holiday or an event to a date that is not accurate and celebrating it every year. Okay? So this is paganism. So at the word panga, pagan, is, I need to do a language video. Panga means to organize, or panga, like I said, to arrange and to organize. So they reorganized, they rearranged, and that's where you get the word paganism from. Okay, but this is a ritual, the rearranging ritual. They put events on the wrong dates, and we create holidays around them, and then it's a whole ritual we create that dishonors God, our God, supreme creator of the universe, and honors Satan. Okay, so these holidays are to be celebrated and honored and venerated, but on the correct dates and times. Okay, see, what we must realize is that once the time is changed, the law is abrogated or changed. What I'm saying is that once the time is changed, the law is broken. It's just like trying to, let's say, there's a time to reap. No, there's a time to sow and to reap. And if you don't sow in the correct season, you will not reap. That's basically what's happening. So we are going through all these rituals thinking we are honoring God, but we are doing them at the wrong time, and then we wonder why we're getting punished and clobbered. That's why. Okay? So the changing of the, let's say, the planting time and the season defies the law of planting, of sowing and reaping, and the consequences would always show themselves, like in this instance, by not having a crop. I mean, it literally would lead to death because you sow at the wrong time, there is no crop, you have no food, you die. And that's the same thing with everything else. And that is why I am seeking to, not only me, there's a lot of others too who are doing that. That's why we are all seeking, including the viewers, to get this straight, to get the time correct, because this is part of the reason why we are suffering. So now let's take a quick look at the calendars. So there are several calendars, and these create confusion, distractions, and rabbit holes. Like I say, these demonic entities will send your mind into a million different directions. It's like distraction after distraction after distraction. And that is why we have to rely on direct communication from God. You're watching these videos and many other videos. Thank you. But what you need to know is that you need to establish that direct communication with God yourself. We are all in this together. Okay? God will talk to you. God will reveal to you. If you have a contrite heart and humbly and sincerely seek out, He will find a way of talking to you. God never fails His children. Just remember that. Okay? He's talking through servants and prophets and all that, but if you seek Him, He will talk to you. So there are several calendars, and this is from Wikipedia. And I urge you to just go and search this out. So historical calendars are often grouped into larger categories by cultural sphere or historical period. So we have Egyptian calendars, Babylonian calendars, Indian calendars, Chinese, Mesoamerican. These are not specific calendars, but series of historical calendars undergoing reforms or regional diversification. So reforms is changes, they're changing. But let's look at this word sphere here. So a sphere is a planet. In this reference, let's reference it as such, or an orbit, which means that these calendars are based on what people saw in the skies in their region. Okay, so when somebody says, for example, sphere of influence, it literally means the cosmic, what they see from their angle. So it would make sense for them to create a calendar based on what they see in their sphere. And this, which I'm not going to talk about today, ties into my earlier videos about the earth as a ship and how it was attacked and broken into pieces. That's also in the Bible. Pangea, Panga, the same thing. It was well arranged and then it got broken. So different people see different things. So before we were all on one plane, under one sphere, witnessing the same, we were in sync, in harmony. But once that happens, people start seeing different things and creating their own calendars. That's how people start worshiping their own gods. Okay? So what I'm saying is that some of these other calendars are necessary, because if I'm seeing, if the sun behaves differently in my sphere, then the calendar, let's say in the northern hemisphere, then the southern hemisphere calendar will not make sense to me. In fact, I will be in error because the seasons are changed. When it's winter there, it's summer here, and vice versa. So some of this changing was necessary, and it's actually, it shows that in the Bible. But what these demonic entities do, they exaggerate, they ride on that, and this fools people who are not aware of what's going on. I was one of those people, and just by the grace of God, I'm coming into the truth. So more about the calendars. In classic antiquity, the Hellenic calendars inspired the Roman calendar, including the solar Julian calendar introduced in 45 BC. Many modern calendar proposals, including the Gregorian calendar introduced in 1582 AD, contains modifications from that of the Julian calendar. But we know there's one great calendar that we need to know and operate from, the calendar that comes from the inception, because that is going to be our reference point as we dial back time. We are literally dialing back time. We have to eliminate time, because time is the illusion. We are caught in time. We are caught in that time-space illusion. We are stuck for a long time, but now time is dialing back. Okay? Again, when the earth was attacked, we are marooned. It's like a ship that's stuck, you know, with a tick-tock. When the wave comes, it goes this way and then it goes that way. Oh, let me keep it moving here. Oh no, the Hellenic calendars, that is the L calendar, the 3/7 calendar, the March 7th calendar. March 7 is EL, and that's L. That's the Hellenic calendar, not the Hellenic calendar. So that is the one that inspired the Roman calendar, which is kind of at par with the Jewish calendar almost. And that is the more accurate calendar. Those Hellenic calendars, the Hellenic. You see, they play on these words so much, they hijack them and own them. And when they sell them back to us, we don't even recognize them. It's the same way they go to an African village or any native village. They have to be in Africa. It could be anywhere else. And they see an herb you normally use to treat something, yeah? So they take this herb to their laboratories, they modify it. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they just simply put it in a capsule, they grind it, but put it in a capsule and sell it back to you as something new, as something advanced or innovative. You know, some people will reject that because they're used to getting the leaves and chewing them, you know, so why would I take something in a capsule? And they're right to doubt what they're being given. But my point is that they sell the same stuff, our stuff back to us, but they have modified it in such a way that we even reject it. Okay, sometimes of course they modify it so much that it's dangerous to us, like when they extract just an element out of the herb and keep on selling that to us, and we take it for a long time not realizing it has to be an array of compounds and chemicals, not just that one. It's the same thing with the calendars. They modify them and then they send them back to us and we reject them or we don't understand them at all. And that is how we perish for the lack of knowledge. Okay? So more on calendars, there's specific calendars that are listed by calendar type, the solar, lunisolar, or lunar, by time of introduction, if it's known, and the context of use, and cultural or historical grouping, if applicable. The following calendars have their original and historical variations, but it's pretty much the same calendar. But as we see here, it has its variations. And some of these variations are based on the cosmic events, but just the regional occurrences. And you might want to have a record. Do you need to watch these patterns that happen in your life, in your village, in your country, you know, in your continent? But those patterns should be part or should fit in perfectly in the ultimate cosmic divine calendar. Okay, so although these regional variations are necessary, they are not the be all and all. Okay, this is how you start worshiping idols, you know, because you think this little calendar of mine here, no, you have to reference God, you have to reference the Bible, you have to reference the stars, you have to reference, God says the stars are in the skies, you know, for signs and seasons. So though the regional variations are there, they should fit in perfectly into the greater divine calendar. Okay, again, calendars fall into 4 types. Most pre-modern calendars are lunisolar. The seasonal calendars rely on changes in the environment. Okay, the wet season, the dry season, rather than lunar or solar observations. So these seasonal calendars need to fit into the solar or lunar calendars, which need to fit into the cosmic calendars. It's like a tessellation. Okay. So some of the calendars listed are identical to the Gregorian calendar, except for substituting regional month names or using a different calendar epoch. Okay, for example, the Thai solar calendar introduced in 1888 is the Gregorian calendar using a different epoch and different names for the Gregorian months. I'm telling you, they just cut and paste sometimes. And it is so confusing because it's easy to do that. It is easy to do that. So you're getting an output, but it's erroneous. And for those of you who program out there, you know, you can sometimes just cut and paste a code into a different program and it runs, it produces a result, but it's erroneous. But because people have the input and output, if they're ignorant or if they don't know what to expect, they accept it as truth. And also I think this changing of dates, These creatures on this earth who are not human. I hope you have watched People Who Is Who, and they're introduced to the earth at different times. So for these people, their calendar begins at that time because they have no way of synchronizing with the original calendar because they were not there. Okay? It's just like when you have a child 20 years later, let's say you're 20 years old or you're 30 years old or 40 or whatever age you are. This child can relate to some of the things because they're your child and they have some of your DNA in you. They can relate to things that happened many years before because they have that DNA in them. But these creatures were just created like an amalgamation of animal DNA there, animal DNA. They have no way of relating to those times. And so for these people, you have to give them their calendar. But also I think they give them those calendars to mark them, to know who they are. Okay, and they're the people who don't. Until recently, I've run into people who have no concept of ancestor. They have no concept of ancestor because they do not have one. They're lab-created creatures running around. They look like you and me, act like you and me, but they're not real. And we have so fallen down that we interact with these things. We're supposed to pick them out from a mile away, but we're having children with these creatures. We don't even realize it. This is being lost in time. This is the effect of changing things, but especially time too. Okay, one of the most important calendars that is relevant to us children of God is the Hebrew or the Jewish calendar. And the specific rendering here on the screen includes the season. And this is what I'm talking about. The naming of the months, the seasons, the times should all fit in together. It should all tessellate in together. Okay? Let me go back to that. So for this specific calendar, and for those of us who are from the motherland, we know how we always reference the rainy season. And like, for example, in Kenya, we have the dry season and the wet season. Okay, and then the wet season, we have the long rains and the dry rains. Okay, so we have that regional aspect of the calendar, but then we also have the feasts, the calendar of the feasts. And then we have the cosmic calendar. You know, we have the lunar, the solar. So we reference all those calendars in the everyday life. But what you're having is people pulling out just an element, just like they do with your medications. They pull out one substance and then present it as the all, be all, and all, disregarding all the other elements that are necessary to make this single element true. The same way they do with everything, really. This is how they divide and conquer. They will come and take that one child from your family who is maybe easily influenced and pit them against you. Or they'll take that one child who's very talented and turn them against you and use them. This is the divide and conquer. Okay, so more on this Hebrew or Jewish calendar. It's Romanized Halua, hallelujah, Halua, Luya, Lua. It's a lunisolar calendar as it should be. Originally, the beginning of each month was determined based on physical observations of a new moon, while the decision of whether to add the leap month was based on observation of natural agricultural related events in ancient Israel. So we have the observation of a new moon. So as soon as you see it, time starts. Well, I didn't talk much about the moon, the phases of the moon, and I will do it soon when I talk about the sun, moon, power couple again, or the solar eclipse, which happens, I think, tomorrow, and I'm not even, I don't feel the need to talk about it. God hasn't led me to talk about it right now, so I won't. So this is still more about the Hebrew calendar. It originally had 10 months. So it has the months, the seasons, the holidays. On this calendar, a little bit, these are Bantu languages, and I think they mean something. So please let me know if this means something in your Bantu language or any other language that you speak that's non-Bantu, but this means something that makes sense. So for example, in Luya, I could read this as Nisa Ya Shiva Ta Musafu. So it is Nisa Ya. It's time for it be. So I think the way we spoke time, sorry guys, the way we spoke time or say things, it always had meaning. It was almost like an acronym or a mnemonic tool that meant something. So like even the little children would learn that. So Nisaya Shiva Tamu Wafuel, you know what I mean? And we have a lot of those rhymes and sayings and all that. And I will do more on this. So this here, I have to tell you a revelation I had after I had posted that New Dawn video. And in this revelation, it was such a short, very short, and I can, to this date, I can't remember whether I was asleep, awake. It's one of those. Time, it was a few people, and it was a big, great, it was like the world, but it was also abysmal, like an abyss, but it's also the whole entire universe. And it was a few people. It was maybe, I want to say, not more than 5 people, 5 of us. And a darkness, but it was a darkness and a cold. So it was, have you seen like when there's fog? I think in China, in those cold areas, it's dark fog. So it was that kind of darkness, and it was very cold, and snow and ice mixed together. But what it was doing, it was moving and enveloping and engulfing. This is how it was moving. And I have this picture here because it was this color. That's the color that it came. So it was kind of not completely black. It was grayish because of the black and the ice. Because of the ice, when it freezes, water freezes, it's whitish. And so that mixed with the black gives you a gray color. And so it was moving in this way, like in a circular motion, but as it moved, it broke off. I don't know how to say this. So once it moves to a different area, it was breaking off. As it's freezing, it was breaking off behind it. There was only, I want to say, not more than 5 people, including myself. And it was like it was the entire, I want to say, universe. That's what I saw. And I cannot really interpret that vision. But this comes when I'm pondering time. But then this is the other image that came to my mind. So I'm trying to relate what happened and how I can relate it to the real world. This is the other image. So this was just moving and moving and moving. And we were somewhere here, like almost to the end of it. But as it was moving, it was breaking up. So it wasn't permanent. Oh. Okay, again, let me summarize. The earth or the cosmos was winding in a Fibonacci, you know, the Fibonacci constant manner. And Fibonacci in Luya, really, that's Orfimbana, as it goes. It winds as it goes. And it was freezing into ice and dark, almost like dark soot, and rolling into layers. But it was also melting as it moved into another area. There weren't any inhabitants, but just the few of us, not more than 5 people. We were unharmed, we were safe, there was no fear, even though the place was absolutely desolate and grey and drab and cold. I don't know what this means, but I hope somebody else out there has had a similar vision. But I know time is winding down, that is a fact. But I also have a sense that the children of God will be safe, or are safe, and they have no need to fear as the time winds down. My sense of having only 5 people, it's showing me, and this I've heard from other people before, is that a lot of people will be X'd out who don't need to be here anyways. And I hope you've watched the video, People Who Is Who. It shows that only probably 10 to 11% are real people who should be on this earth. So, you know, they'll be taken out precipitously as they should. You know? So I think in a way, to me, that's a confirmation, again, about time winding down. But if you have other opinions, please let me know. You know, we need each other. We need the witnesses to confirm this. I do not want to say things that are not true, and people make decisions based on them, okay? But time is winding down. And when I was going through this vision, I had no sense of time. I couldn't tell you if it lasted for 5 seconds or if it lasted for years. I cannot tell you that. So time is being eliminated. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Luya, and you can use any other Bantu languages to find this truth, you know, because language is a code. It's supposed to be a code for truth, but it's been hijacked, you know, and it's being used to destroy us. Look at the music. So in Luya, if you use these rules of language where CH also sounds like a hard K in words like Christ, chronic, chromosome, etc., you can replace much here with a K and you get mark, and R is silent. So really we just have mark. In Luya, the year is called Omwaka. Okay? So mark is a marker, Omwaka. Okay? Plural, single is Omwaka, plural is Emiaka. So it's a MK. Omwaka also means tiller of the land. Somebody who tills the land is called Omwaka. It's just a different intonation. So Omwaka is a year, and then Omwaka is a tiller of the land. And then we also have Amaka, which means coal or charcoal. And then we have Amaka, which means a tinkerer, or somebody who likes to mess with stuff, you know. But So we can see here that Omwaka is a year, and Omwaka, so the tiller of the land starts tilling the land at the beginning of the year, preparing it, okay? And they burn coal. No, they burn, the bush, and when you're clearing the land, you burn the shrub and some of the trees, and you get charcoal. So to me, this is another confirmation about March being the beginning of the year. Okay? Just based on the language, and I need to do more language videos. The other thing about March, and this is, I might be pushing it a little bit, just because I'm not completely sure of all the Luya names or events that happen that relate to those months. But this lies in with the wedding ceremony, the marriage. Remember what I said, the sun and moon must be wedded. They must wed for a condition of the return of Christ. Christ comes through a holy union, the ultimate powerful union of sun and moon. So let me try to walk you through this. So March, and again, if you live in the old country, in Africa, you know how we have this wedding marriage ceremonies. They're so elaborate, and they are planned out days, sometimes years in advance. But so on the day of the ceremony, you march from the bride's home. It is a procession marching from the bride's home. The moon appears. So that lunar eclipse was very critical. That the one we just had, that nobody talked about. In essence, the bride has left her home. The procession is heading to the bridegrooms. Okay, and March itself is a march. The choo-choo train, the march. Okay, and then April, that's when you open the door. He opens the home. Okay, the couple goes through the purification and their conjugal duties. In May, the egg and the ovum. It's a twin, because women have 2 ovaries. So that is the twinning. It takes. I'm not fully prepared for this, but I'm just giving you a rough idea. So in June, people can see that she is into motherhood. And June, so I'm talking about June, July. Okay? So the conception happens in April. June is when the pregnancy is acknowledged and starts showing. And if you follow this, the 9 months, the birth is in December or thereabouts. Okay? So by January, there's 2. The mother and child. That's the 2 phases. Okay? So again, I'm just trying to show you how March has to be the beginning of the year. How it's even programmed in our cultures and traditions. And by the way, as we dial back time, the months will start getting less and less. We will be forced to get onto the 10-month calendar, and then back and back and back. And I will do this again. But I hope it will get some of you thinking, and maybe you can share your traditions with me and how it works, and if this makes sense. Okay? So March, trend, the marching, the procession, Mlolongo. April, open the door. The flower is blooming. It's the ovulation, the pregnancy. Okuta, August, big belly. Anyway, Ali Okuta, Wane Ali Okuta, so-and-so is pregnant. Let's move on. Let me not get on a segue here, but I have to do just a special one on this particular, how this ties in, how the times, the seasons tie in into our very everyday traditions and ceremonies. Okay, so now this is the crux of the presentation, and this is why you need to get a pen and paper if you didn't have it already. I've seen people disagree with about April as being the actual date of the Passover, and rather they think, like me, that it is later in the year. And you know, I am one person who's always celebrated Passover when everybody does, but with these revelations, God is revealing the actual correct times. I have given myself as to one who needs to be used, who should be used by God to restore His kingdom, the dates and the times and the seasons. So I cannot keep on honoring. I honor Passover, but not when they celebrate it. And I think they're just trying to throw us off, because these signs will tell us when He's coming back. Okay? So let's go to the next screen here. So in the Gregorian calendar, Passover is celebrated from this year for 2024. April 22nd to 30th is when Passover is celebrated, and that's 113 days to 122 or 23 days since start of the year. This is if you count the date, the last date, or if you don't. Okay? So I want to apply this same logic to this calendar that I'm calling the March 7th calendar, the one that the dates that God revealed to me. So if the year begins on March 7th and Passover is celebrated 113 days later for 9 days, on this, March 7th calendar, that would mean that Passover would fall on June 28th all the way to July 6th. And I'm requesting you viewers, please, if you have any information that confirms this, please share it in the comment section, email me, please let me know, because we need those witnesses. What I know is that the 4th of July, the birth of America, is has to fall within that time period. And I forgot to include a slide here about, but I have it in Abomination, about that number 44 and what he talks about America. There's a book he prefaced or wrote, I can't remember, I just forgot to include that here. But going by that same logic, of Passover Passover happening 113 days from January 1st, the beginning of the year, and applying it here, so Passover should be on June 28th through to July 6th. But again, I want to look at these 2 months, these 2 months, the pink moon in April, so this is January, February, March, April, May, June, and the strawberry moon in June. I don't know how to connect this, because this is Passover for the Gregorian calendar. This would be Passover for the March 7th calendar. Yeah, I know I'm starting to lose a lot of people. Even for me, this is what takes me long to present these things, because I trying to order this information in a coherent manner that makes sense sometimes even to myself, you know. I know it's there, but I'm trying to organize it. So please, guys, help me out here. And then we have the second Passover, which usually happens 142 days, or I think 30 days after the first Passover. So that would leave the second Passover being on the 27th of July, sorry. So in the Gregorian calendar, it's on May 22, the second Passover, but on this March 7th calendar, it would be on July 27th, and we have this 277 number. And maybe somebody can, just going by that number, can confirm what I'm talking about. So the second Passover usually marks the day when someone who was unable to participate in the Passover offering in the proper time would observe the mitzvah exactly 1 month later. And in the Gregorian calendar, the second Passover is on May 22nd, which is 142 days from the 1st of January. And when I extrapolate that inference to the March 7th calendar, the date would fall on July 27th, which is 727 or 227. And I know that number has significance, and please share any information you have about that. So here I have the important dates in June as on the Gregorian calendar. And let us remember that in my first presentation, the first video, A New Dawn, I said it does not matter what they call the months, it's the time. You have to be aware of the time. You must be inherently aware in your spirit that that is the time. So regardless of what they call them. But these important dates they have in June have significance. Okay? And we should pay attention to them. What they list them for. For example, June 19th is a Freedom Day or Emancipation Day. Okay? We need to pay attention to those days. Read about Juneteenth. This is when African Americans call a Freedom Day. I mean, even these days are important. The Flag Day. They're going to try to do stuff on it. Even Father's Day is important. They are all important. And then July 4th in July. But I'm trying to bring this together. Maybe I have to come back to that again. What do I have here? Well, I have these calendars side by side for the entrepreneurial spirit to try and figure it out. So we can have everything straight. No, I need to talk about this again. But here, when is the Exodus? According to the Bible, the Exodus was during the Passover or around that time, right? And again, look at Juneteenth. This is the Freedom Day. Liberation, Jubilee, Emancipation. And according to my assessment, the March 7th calendar, it should happen in June, the Passover. Okay, sorry, guys, sorry. The recorder just stopped, so I have to start all over again. But anyway, what I was saying is that if the Passover and the Exodus happened at about the same time, does it make sense that it will do so again in the same manner this year, which according to this calendar would be around the June, July time. And then we see that we have that Juneteenth, which is Freedom Day, Emancipation Day. Okay, I'm going to rush through this because I'm having technical difficulties. Okay, this is the Enochian calendar, which is one of the more accurate calendars. Um, but it's a highly cosmic calendar. But still, what we need to realize that as we dial back time, calendars are going to become not necessary, and we'll need only one calendar of God, the absolute cosmic calendar. Okay. Okay, conspicuously absent in this presentation is the moon, its characteristics. This I will do when I talk about the sun and the moon as a power couple, or about the eclipse, but more likely about the former, or maybe both. And I'm going to rush through this because I'm having some serious technical difficulties today. I don't know why. Okay, his return is imminent. We are the generation that will receive the Christ. We must be pure to be in his holy presence. Hebrews 7:12 says, "For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law." Normally, when the time is changed, it means the law is changed. So why was this necessary? So all changes are not bad, but the Satanists and all those demonics use them or take advantage and make good things bad. We are entered into the Jubilee year. And just as a confirmation for me, I recently got a client whose name is actually Jew. Remember when I said doing this a new dawn, or the new dawn? I had a client whose name was Dawn, and now I have another one whose name is Juju. So I think it's just more confirmation from God. Is the emphasis on the J-U, J-U, June, July, Jupiter, Jubilee. Okay, and in Swahili, Ju means up. And while Juju is usually also used in reference with magic. So, but if you know languaging, then you know Juju should maybe mean we are entering into magical times. Okay. So thank you so much for watching. Questions, comments, suggestions are always welcome. If this resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe. We must reach as many people as possible. Remember, all is truth. There can only be truth. Everything else is a distraction. Do not be distracted. Truth is consistent and it endures forever. It endures to the end. The truth will set you free. Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties, guys. Thank you for watching. Technical difficulties. I have to rush out. Sorry. Thank you.